Greetings to all of my Everest Mystery friends and visitors. This short presentation is based on something I put together for a good friend of mine who teaches 7th and 8th grade English, and her students wanted to know what it was like to climb Mount Everest from the Tibetan side. So for all students of adventure, geography, of travel, of mountaineering, this one is for you. Let's get to it. But before I dive into this presentation, I need you to hit that subscribe button if you want to keep up to date on all things Everest and the mystery of Mallory and Irvin and the 8,000 meter peaks. And consider becoming a member or supporter of this channel on the link below. Your support helps me create more videos more often so I can continue doing what I love to do and what you love to watch. In addition to that, on the bottom of the screen here is my website where you can find out about my public speaking business, filmmaking, and where you can find me on social media. And if you stick around at the end, I'm going to share a video that I think that you're going to want to watch. So my friend, the teacher who asked me to put this presentation together, they were reading the book by Jordan Romero, who became the youngest person to climb Mount Everest at 13. Unlike Jordan, I didn't fall in love with mountaineering at 13. I was in my mid-20s when I learned how to climb. But from the very beginning, the second my ice crampons hit the wall of ice, I knew that I wanted to set my sights on something bigger, and it wasn't long before Mount Everest was in my view. It soon became my life ambition and my life dream to go there, to climb it, and to stand on the top someday, but also to become a filmmaker and to be hired to go and film on the mountain. In 1999, I got the opportunity to go there to look for the bodies of Sandy Irvin and George Mallory, who had disappeared on the mountain back in 1924, 75 years previously. Conrad Anker, one of the members of our team, discovered the body of George Mallory at nearly 27,000 feet. I returned there in 2019 with another team to look for the body of Sandy Irvin. And now about that mystery, I have a playlist specifically about the mystery of Mallory and Irvin where there's more than a dozen videos, so make sure you check that out after this video is over. When you climb Mount Everest from Tibet, a lot of teams will fly to Lhasa first and then drive overland to base camp. But on both occasions when I was there, we started in Kathmandu. Nepal is a beautiful country with temples and stupas. Our team drove in four-wheel drive vehicles up and across the border into Tibet, and the roads weren't always functioning the way that you would want them to. Sometimes rivers literally flowed right over the top of the dirt roads. A pretty interesting place that we stop in on the way to Everest Base Camp is called Tingri, and not far off in the distance you can see Mount Everest. We drive overland through the plateau of Tibet, a very beautiful and austere place to be, dry, and not a lot of color in the topography. Base camp is at the terminus of the Great Rongbuk Glacier, where we set up tents in the shadow of Mount Everest, but not before I went to visit the memorial plaque honoring George Mallory and Sandy Irvin. Here you can see tents set up in the foreground and a herd of ibex making their way across base camp. In our tents, we would have team meetings, we would eat all of our meals, gather together, rest, relax, drink tea or coffee. And one of the ways that we get our equipment up the mountain is on the backs of these enormous animals known as yaks. And without the hard work of the Sherpa and the people who are working with us, the cooks, the incredible high altitude climbers, our expedition would surely not be possible. They became our brothers and sisters on the mountain, and we're honored to be side by side with them. So here's a beautiful view of Mount Everest as the sun is setting. Here's the route that we take. You can see, starting from base camp, which is on the lower right of this slide, you go up and around this big part right here. That's Changsi, the north peak of Mount Everest. And this is essentially the route up a ridge here, where we get up to the northeast ridge proper, past an area called the Second Step, and then up toward the summit. It's a very beautiful hike up toward Advanced Base Camp, and where we take a left turn onto the East Rongbuk Glacier. There's our friend Renan Ozturk on the left, showing his jubilation at being in full view of the north face of Mount Everest, which we had been talking about for a year now. Here's Advanced Base Camp. This is where we set our large tents up. Now here's looking back up the other way, and in the upper right corner is this great wall here that leads up to an area called the North Col of Everest. You can see it closer up right now there. And here you can see tiny dots. These are the people hiking up on the trails to get to the top of the North Col. In some places it gets very steep. This is Mark Sinnott kicking his front points of his crampons into the ice, and of course you can see where his left hand is yarding and tugging on that rope to help him come upwards. While that pack on that Sherpa's back looks enormous, that's just a soft pad that they'll set a tent up on so people can sleep and keep warmer. And then to the right, on the right, you can see the top of the North Col where the tents begin to accumulate from all the other teams that are also on the mountain. You can see now in the upper right, there's the wall of Everest. When leaving for the upper parts of the mountain, most teams leave under cover of darkness. The route is more stable, and typically the weather gets worse toward the latter part of the day. So we leave when the weather is calm and more predictable. And you can see this climber. There's a rope leading upwards and back downwards, and you clip your carabiner into that rope to be sure that if you do fall, you don't slide off one way or the other. There's our friend Renan Ozturk again, now using oxygen up above the North Col. Here we are moving up higher up on the mountain. The views are becoming spectacular. Now this is looking over into the south toward Nepal. We're up so high here. Now this is what's called Camp 2. And now the photographs that I'm using are of my friends, because on this particular trip in 2019, I didn't get past the North Col. The challenge here is to get a tent on a flat enough surface so you don't feel like you're falling downhill all night when you go to sleep. And now upwards toward Camp 3, the high camp on the mountain, the final staging point to get to the summit. On summit day, the climbers leave their tents in the middle of the night. It's very important to leave as early as possible to get to the summit, so you can see the climbers leaving their tents with their headlamps on. And on a beautiful morning, that's Makalu, the world's 5th highest mountain, in the background as the sun begins to rise. Now here is the second step, the notorious second step of Mount Everest, which now actually has a ladder affixed to it so people can climb up the drop-dead vertical part of it. The very sharp northeast ridge with the fluted snow pointing up and toward the right, created by years and years and eons of wind blowing snow upward and over the top. As the sun rises, the climbers can turn their headlamps off and continue following the ropes up toward the summit. Now the light is getting brighter. Makalu. A look from the top of the second step up toward the third step, some of the headlamps still on the final summit ridge. You can see in here. Mark Sinnott making his way up over the third step of Mount Everest on the northeast ridge as the sun rises up behind him. And here is the top of Mount Everest, climbers jubilant as they reach the highest point on the planet. Celebratory hugs for everyone. A lot of students have asked me over the years, why would I do something that risks my life? Why would I go and put it all on the line to climb Mount Everest? What I typically say is that for me personally, it's about doing something that I love to do. And I realized that I was sacrificing and taking a risk, but I wanted to go the extra mile in order to achieve my dream. And for those students who are watching this short film now, you can do whatever you want in your life, no matter how hard your life is, no matter how impossible it seems that you might someday be able to climb Mount Everest or work with horses or be a dancer or a teacher or a musician. You can do it. You just have to go after it. Take your time, focus, and dream, and be good and kind to others. Study, do the research, do the things that you need to do to know as much as possible about what it is that you love to do. And that opportunity will someday find you. In a moment, YouTube and I are going to share with you a video that we think you're going to want to watch. So thanks for listening to me today. You can look in the liner notes of this YouTube video and you'll see a way that you can reach out to me, find my podcast or social media links. Thanks very much. May you achieve your greatest dreams. And if you do, let me know, because I want to know. I want to be the first one to congratulate you. Thanks a lot. Have a great day. Be well. Stay safe. Peace out, my friends.